Today we are breaking down wide receiver prospect Luther Burden III out of Missouri. For a lot of people, they're wide receiver one in this Dynasty rookie class. Before we jump into the analytical and production profile, let's check out a play from Luther Burden here against Texas A&M. There he is lined up at the bottom of your screen, and you're going to see a pretty nice back shoulder catch here on a 9 route in man coverage to Luther Burden. There he is, catches it. And a pretty nice gain there. You can see it from the end zone view here if you want to see it again. This is going to be very, very important, this clip and others, when I start to break down his potential to be a true difference maker. Stick around if you want to see a few more all 22 clips there. But first, we're going to just jump into the production and analytical profile. As you know, Luther Burden, a smaller receiver at 5'11", 208. I don't believe those are official measurements quite yet, so we'll see maybe around the combine if he goes. You see the 2024 stats there, 60 catches, over 650 yards and 6 touchdowns. And what's funny about that, and this is why, you can't always fall into the trap of just looking at raw stats and the raw production, because you go and look at Luther Burden's 2023 season and you look at it and you say, holy crap, this guy is the best wide receiver in the nation in 2023. What happened? He goes from 1,200 yards and 9 touchdowns and over 85 catches to 675 yards and 6 touchdowns. Well, what's funny enough is that this season, he actually accounted for more in 2024, more of his team's passing yards, the percentage of his team passing production than he did in his big year where he put up over 1,200 yards. So a lot of it had to do with Missouri and their offense just seemingly just not being as good as it was in 2023. But I don't think that's because Luther Burden was bad or lost a step or regressed. So we see some of the analytical stuff here. And the one that I really, really like and really want to point out is the contested target percentage here. What is this? This is how many of your targets were contested over the course of your college career. So that for Luther Burden, this is 3 years in college at Missouri, and his contested target percentage is at 17%. Why is this important? Well, to me, this is important because a lot of times when you look at this over the course of an entire season or over the course of an entire career, this shows your ability to get open through your route running, in my opinion, your route running or maybe your speed. Now, a lot of other factors do play into it, the types of targets that you get, how many of them are you getting behind the line of scrimmage and things like that. But I think it kind of evens out over the course of an entire career. And generally, we want to see this number under 20%. Under 15% is fantastic, but under 20% is good. Anything over 20% is starting to become a little bit concerning. Some guys last year who had a really low contested target percentage, Ladd McConkey, Xavier Worthy, Roman Wilson, who we didn't get to see, Ricky Pearsall, Jalen McMillan, some guys that hit in fantasy had a very, very low contested target percentage. So this is a very intriguing number for me. And also his yards per route run against man were really, really good. Over 3.5 yards per route run is really, really good. Now, the NFL does play a little bit more zone coverage than they do man coverage. However, you do like them to be able to beat man coverage. And a lot of times it comes down to, maybe this number is slightly higher or maybe the zone number is slightly lower because they played a majority of snaps against zone. There's a lot of other factors that go into it. We see the production profile for Luther Burden here. His career dominator percentage is 34%. That means what is dominator? It's what for a wide receiver, again, it's the percentage of your team's passing offense. What percentage of your team's passing offense did you account for? And he accounted for 34% in his entire career, which is really, really good. And honestly, we can throw out all the numbers that we want to throw out, all the yards per route run or the combine numbers or whatever. The one thing that you need that translates to future success in the NFL is production. It comes down to just, did you produce? I went back and looked at every single receiver that kind of hit in fantasy football since 2010. And what do they all have in common? Almost all of them. And we're talking, when I say, almost all of them, we're like almost all of them is they produced in college. They had a career dominator of 20% or higher. There's only two players actually that didn't have that. That was Terry McLaurin and Jalen Waddle. So literally only two players since 2010 that didn't have this number over 20%. Luther Burden is at 34%, which is, that is elite territory. He produced all 3 years in college, starting from a freshman. He broke out at the age of 18. So that's the first year in which you had 20% or more of dominator. And he did that his first year as a freshman. His single season high, which again, surprisingly enough, was in 2024, where he put up only, less than 700 yards, was 38%. Again, elite stuff. We see some of the production here. By depth, he was really good, stats wise, and hit grading out his grades and stuff. Really good in the deep and short area targets. Not so much in the intermediate, medium of the not middle of the field, but medium depth. That wasn't as productive, and wasn't as productive with stuff behind the line of scrimmage. But his deep and short production was really, really good because. And that's interesting to me because it really comes down to, I think the big question that people have with Luther Burden is what position is he going to play? Is he strictly going to be a slot receiver, or is he going to be able to play all over the field? And you see why people are concerned by that, because throughout his career, he was heavily playing in the slot. He was playing in the slot a lot. 462 snaps from the slot compared to only 55 out wide. And that's where people are going to be a little bit concerned, because ultimately, if you're only a slot receiver, your ceiling is very, very limited when it comes to fantasy football. You have to be able to play, out wide and in the slot. And, from that clip that I showed you, I'm kind of leaning towards Luther Burden being able to play out wide. And I think it was more a product of just the offense that Missouri ran and where they wanted to use him. Justin Jefferson was someone who only really played in the slot in college. You had Jamar Chase, Terrace Marshall there, I believe, as well. And he just wasn't, used out wide. But we obviously know that Justin Jefferson is one of the best. He's one of the best wide receivers in the NFL, despite him only playing in the slot, really. So I think teams are going to tell you where they take Luther Burden if they think he can play on the outside, because they're not going to draft a slot receiver top 20 or something like that. Even in the first round, potentially, they're not going to be drafting a receiver. Now, something that I really, really like about Luther Burden, and the positive that I really like, is just his yak ability, his ability after the catch. He's so good at that start-stop whenever he hits the ball in his hands. And I have a couple clips that I want to show you here from some All-22 that kind of prove that. So here we are with another play against Texas A&M. We see Luther Burden moving in motion, which he did a lot in college, which is great to see because he kind of fits the new age of the NFL. But we see him in motion here, and we kind of see the move and that start-stop ability that he has. Now, this isn't like an amazing, overly impressive play or gain, but it just shows you his ability. So there he goes out wide. He takes it out, a little quick out route there. And then in that start and stop ability, is able to gain another, 5-6 yards or so there. And just that ability is just, I personally love that type of stuff. When you see that with a player who's able to do that, I think that stuff like that translates to the NFL. Again, was this amazing 50-yard gain? No, but not all plays are going to be like that. They're just not going to be like that. But you see the ability and possibilities of him as a route runner. And here we go with another play. This was actually 2023, his game. He had a huge game against LSU. We see him lined up kind of in the backfield or kind of as a deep tight end position. And you're just going to see, again, some of that yards after catch ability that people love from him in this draft. By the way, he did line up in the backfield quite a lot. I think it was 17 snaps. So here he goes. He's going to run a little route here, a little hitch route. He gets it. Boom. That start and stop ability. He just kind of leaves people in his tracks. And there he gains another, 10, 15 yards. You can see it again from the end zone view here. Just like, man, that when the ball is in his hands, he knows where to go a lot of times. And that start and stop ability is just like special stuff. If it can all come together, which I believe it has the possibility. Boom, just leaves two guys in his tracks, picks up, breaks a tackle there, gets tackled right after. Again, just impressive stuff with the ball in his hand. So his yards after catch ability is obviously something we all love, something that I really love. But there's more to Luther Burden, in my opinion, than just that type of play over the middle as a slot receiver and that quick twitch ability. Here we have another play, him going up against South Carolina in 2024. He is lined up in the slot there, as you can see the arrow nicely pointing out. And this is one of his longer touchdown plays. And this is why I believe, as well as other things, obviously, we're just looking at a couple plays here, and one or two plays doesn't make a player or a make or break a player. But these are the type of plays where I think he could possibly win on the outside. Because, yes, does he play in the slot a lot? Absolutely. But is he able to win, even though he plays from the slot, on outside like routes, or is he only winning on kind of those slot receiver type of routes? And you're going to see here again, lined up in that at the top of your screen in the slot, nice little comes off the line and boom, he catches it. And that's not a slot receiver type of route, right? That's kind of that could be from the outside. Yeah, he lined up in the slot, but that's not a route that you particularly see from just a slot wide receiver. So we're going to see it again here from the end zone view. Again, he's out there in the slot here. He gets a good burst off the line of scrimmage, which we're not going to be able to see from this view here, but gets a pretty good burst off the line of scrimmage. And he just makes a really, really nice catch in kind of tight man coverage there and scores that touchdown. So it's one thing if you're playing from the slot and only really winning on slot type routes. But it's another thing if you're just playing from the slot because that's what the team wants you to line up, but they're going to use you all over the field. And that's what Missouri was doing with Luther Burden the last couple of years. And for our last play here, there are some things that we want to see Luther Burden get better at, just like there is. No prospect is perfect. And there are times in which Burden, even though he had a really good yards per route run rate against man coverage, when he's in that press man coverage, like we see with the slot cornerback here, he's up at the line of scrimmage. He's going to kind of try and jam him at the line of scrimmage here. There's times where he can't create separation. You're going to see that here. It looks like he was actually the read on this play here as well. And the quarterback gets sacked because Luther Burden kind of gets, locked up pretty early on from this route. He can't create that separation. The two defenders actually run into each other. But, you kind of see that at times with Burden. Now, there's other clips where he does beat press man coverage. But I would say more often than not, he does struggle to get that separation with that press man coverage. And obviously, NFL cornerbacks are bigger, faster, stronger than college ones. And they're going to know, this is their job. They're going to know what he's good at and what he's not. And they're going to try and exploit that. So do want to see him get better at that. Again, is any wide receiver prospect perfect? No. But for me, Luther Burden, I kind of go back and forth. As of right now, you've probably heard me before if you watch my video say Tet McMillan is my wide receiver one. I'm kind of right now leaning towards Luther Burden just because I love the route running ability. And I think that's really the one thing that almost always seems to translate to the next level is your ability to run routes and get open. A lot of times these bigger, stronger receivers can win against college receivers, but they don't do well in the NFL because everyone is as strong and as big as them, right? So again, do I have them significantly over Tet McMillan for Dynasty rookie drafts? Not necessarily. To me, they're in the same tier. And you can kind of go with who gets the better draft capital or who goes to the better team that you think will have better translate to better fantasy success. So to me, they're kind of the 1-2 in this class. I'm excited to see, if he goes to the combine or pro day type of stuff and ultimately where he lands in the NFL draft. So that's it. That's all I have for you guys today. I'm going to be putting out more of these with some more prospects. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this, a little bit of the all 22 look. We're going to be looking at this with a lot of prospects, both, some of the top tier guys, but also some of the guys that might go, late day 2 or day 3. So if you like Dynasty content, you like rookie scouting, make sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Appreciate everyone. And I will catch you guys all in that next video.